They kept notes. So should the hunted. Every whisper, every pause, every half-second delay before an answer, it all speaks louder than their words ever could. Observation isn't curiosity, it's survival. The quiet learn faster. The patient see deeper. Because the truth doesn't shout. It trembles in a voice, pretending to be calm. You've seen it, haven't you? The twitch in their jaw when they lie. The dart of their eyes when they're guilty. The way someone's laughter cracks when they're hiding something. The world reveals itself in microseconds, and most people never notice because they're too busy performing. Listen longer than you speak. That's not advice, it's a weapon. Silence makes people uncomfortable. And in that discomfort, they confess without realizing. Watch their hand, their breathing, the tone behind their tone. When someone mentions a name and looks away too quickly, remember it. When someone compliments you but their lips tighten halfway through, store it. You're collecting data, not emotions. This isn't paranoia, it's perception. The hunted doesn't survive by running faster, but by seeing further. A half-empty glass on the table tells a story. A phone turned face down hides more than messages. It hides fear. That laugh from across the room. It wasn't random. It was rehearsed. People show you everything when they think you're not paying attention. So pay attention. Study the pauses more than the sentences. The hesitation before the truth. The tremor before the mask resets. The smallest detail can shift an entire war. You don't need to confront them. Just know, because the one who observes always owns the ending. Smiles are currency. Spend them strategically. Most people smile to belong, but the wise smile to observe. That curve on your lips isn't always joy, it's camouflage. A quiet disguise in a loud room, because while everyone else is busy performing sincerity, you're memorizing their scripts. You're studying the pauses between their praise. You're decoding the tension behind their jokes. A smile lets you enter circles that suspicion would keep you out of. It's the softest weapon ever made. A polite grin at the right time can unlock more truth than a confrontation ever could. Let them think they've fooled you. Let them mistake your silence for innocence. It's almost funny watching their arrogance unfold, step by step, while you already know their next 3 moves. That's the game. Never rage when you can grin. Never reveal when you can observe. Control isn't about volume. It's about composure that makes others second-guess themselves. That's where your power lives. Behind the smirk they thought was surrender. Every smile you give should have a purpose. When someone underestimates you, smile wider. When someone doubts you, smile slower. That's the beauty of this weapon. They can't tell if it's peace or prompt. And when the moment finally arrives, when masks begin to melt and intentions start showing their cracks, your smile will be the last thing they remember before the silence drops. Because in a world built on pretense, the calmest face wins the loudest war. Explosion isn't noise. It's precision. It's the moment stillness turns into strategy. The world expects rage, fist, shouts, broken things. But the real power, it doesn't flinch. It plans, it calculates, it builds a storm so silently that by the time it hits, it's already over. That's what they'll never understand. Chaos doesn't announce itself. It arrives with intent. Every second you spent holding back wasn't weakness. It was aim. The explosion isn't a scream. It's a statement. You've studied every smirk, every insult, every door that was slammed in your face. You've been collecting fragments of disrespect and shaping them into ammunition. The loud ones mock discipline because they've never seen what silence can do when it finally speaks. That's what makes it beautiful. It's unexpected, unstoppable, and entirely earned. The calmest person in the room is always the one holding the detonator. When your moment comes, don't warn them, don't explain, don't seek permission. Just shift, quietly, precisely. Let your success erupt in their confusion. Let your composure echo louder than any explosion ever could. And when they ask, when did this happen? You'll smile, because it didn't just happen. It was happening the whole time. In every ignored word, in every silent night, in every plan they thought you'd never finish. The blast isn't about destruction, it's about revelation. And revelation is the most powerful kind of noise. Reflect their confidence and give it back. Cracked. The mirror doesn't argue. It reveals. When they smile too wide, show a smile that's wider. When they flex arrogance, reflect calm that cuts deep. People expose themselves to reflections that don't flatter them. And that's your advantage. They show their truth when they think you're just mimicking theirs. You're not copying. You're calibrating. You're tuning yourself to their frequency until you can rewrite the signal entirely. That's how control begins. Quietly, respectfully, but unmistakably. Mirroring isn't imitation, it's translation. When you echo their tone with precision, you're not agreeing, you're studying. Every repeated phrase builds a map of their ego. Every gesture mirrored becomes a lesson in what they value most. It's not manipulation, it's awareness disguised as presence. The moment you reflect them just enough, they drop their guard, and in that drop lies everything they didn't want you to see. That's the art. Making them believe you're familiar while you're actually dissecting them. Confidence is a mirror game. Reflect it wrong, and it shatters. Reflect it right, and it blinds. The goal isn't to destroy, it's to expose. Because when they finally look into your calm reflection and see the distortion of their own act staring back, they hesitate. That hesitation is victory. They'll call it discomfort. You'll call it clarity. Mirrors don't lie, but they do show what truth looks like. When someone finally stops pretending, every slight is a line in the ledger. Every smirk, every dismissal, every whispered insult that burned for a second and stayed for years. Write it down, not with ink, but with intent. The world calls it bitterness. I call it data. You're not keeping score out of spite. You're keeping track out of precision. Because memory fades but records don't. The ledger isn't about revenge. It's about proof. Proof that you've been paying attention while they thought you were. The inner ledger isn't chaos, it's order. It's discipline disguised as emotion. When they mock you, record it. When they doubt you, archive it. When they forget you, bookmark the silence. Not to obsess, to learn. Every name, every moment, every crack in your armor is a coordinate pointing toward your evolution. That's how you grow. Not through forgiveness alone, but through remembrance. You can't rise without knowing what buried you. One day you'll open that ledger, not to settle, but to smile. Because every entry that once hurt will now read like motivation. Their laughter, interest paid. Their rejection, a lesson disguised as delay. The ledger doesn't lie. It simply waits until you're ready to understand the numbers. So keep it close, update it quiet, let it guide your hunger, not your hatred. Because the one who tracks their pain doesn't just survive, they refine. Work where the world will applaud last. The quiet hours are where real legends are written. No lights, no praise, no validate, just sweat, repetition, and the slow burn of discipline. That's the secret. Power doesn't announce itself while it's forming. It hides. It sharpens in silence. Because the moment the world sees you, it will already be too late for them to catch up. Let them underestimate you. Let them sleep while you build in the dark. The night has always been the safest place for transformation. The shadows are not your enemy. They are your forge. Every failure you hide from the world is a rehearsal for dominance. Every ignored message, every closed door, every night you trained instead of explaining yourself, those are investments. You're not behind. You're incubating. The ones who crave spotlight too early become entertainment. The ones who train unseen become inevitability. When you appear complete. Silent progress terrifies the loud. Never announce your next move. Never show your blueprint. People fear what they cannot measure. That's your weapon. Let them talk. Compare and speculate while you move like smoke, unreachable, untouchable, unpredictable. The moment you step out of the shadows, they'll wonder how you did it. But you'll know, you didn't rush. You rebuilt, quietly, thoroughly, perfectly, because the real victory is shocking the world with the version of you it stopped believing exists. Fail publicly. Rebuild privately. That's the oldest trick in the art of control. Let them see the stumble, the shake, the so-called defeat. It feeds their illusion. People love a downfall because it distracts them from their own. Let them believe the performance. While they laugh, you recalibrate. While they gossip, you gather data. Failure, when designed, is camouflage. It hides the architecture of your comeback behind the debris of their assumptions. You see, the crowd never studies the silence after hours. They only look for noise, spectacle, apology. But power doesn't explain, it plans. You disappear not to retreat, but to rewire. Every collapse teaches you what foundations can hold weight and which ones crumble under pressure. Let them think you've quit. You're just editing the version of yourself they'll never be able to predict. Because when you return, you won't be seeking validation, you'll be collecting outcomes. The false fail is elegant because it feeds on their arrogance. They stop watching when they think you've fallen. That's when you move. That's when you build. That's when you strike. No bitterness, no warnings. Just quiet evolution. When they finally notice, it won't be a comeback, it'll be revelation. They'll call it luck, they'll call it timing, but you'll know it was choreography. Every misstep, every silence, every fall, all part of a performance they were never smart enough to see. Words shield more than swords. The sharpest ones don't cut skin, they cut certainty. Language is how power hides in plain sight. Every tone, every pause, every silence between sentences, it's design, not accident. You can disarm an entire room without ever raising your voice. That's the trick. Control the rhythm, and you control their perception. Speak slow. Speak clear. Let silence finish what words can't. Because silence always sounds like confidence to those who fear it. Never speak to prove yourself. Speak to position yourself. People reveal everything when they rush to explain. You, however, don't need to be understood. You need to be remembered. Every phrase you choose should have gravity. If they interrupt, let them. Their noise exposes their nerves. When you finally respond, your calm will feel like thunder. That's how language works. It bends reality toward whoever masters the tempo. Choose your words like currency. Spend them where they multiply. A single sentence can end a rumor. A single pause can end a debate. Words aren't just communication, they're architecture. You build presence through diction, control through tone, and dominance through restraint. So next time they expect an argument, give them silence. Let it breathe. Let it sting. Because those who understand language don't fight for attention. They make attention fight for them. Not everyone in the room is the enemy. Some just haven't decided who to bet on yet. The world runs on quiet alliances, unspoken exchanges of respect, of recognition, of shared hunger. You'll know them by how they watch, not how they talk. The loud ones announce their loyalty. The real ones prove it in small and recorded moments. Learn to spot those glances, those tiny signals of understanding. That's how tribes are built. Not through noise, but through nods. Allies aren't chosen, they're revealed. through pressure, through patterns, through silence. Sometimes the most powerful bond is with someone who never promised a thing but showed up when the lights were gone and the noise died down. Protect those people. Keep them close but quiet. Never make your circle visible. Visibility invites sabotage. The strongest networks move like shadows. Connected, coordinated, invisible. That's how power multiplies without being measured. Then there are the wild cards. The unpredictable ones who don't fit your rhythm but expand it. Never ignore them. Chaos has value if you learn how to steer it. A wild card can expose cracks that loyalty won't. Keep one close. Not to control them but to stay alert. Because power dulls in comfort, and wild energy keeps you sharp. In this game, solitude builds strength, but alliances build. The right two people can shift the entire balance of a battlefield without saying a single word. There's a silence that hits harder than any revenge. It's the silence after your enemies realize they can't destroy you. When every trap they set only sharpens your focus. When every rumor dies the second you walk into the room. That's when they start whispering less and watching more. That's when fear replaces hate. Because nothing terrifies a manipulator more than someone who stays unshaken. You didn't need to fight back with words. You didn't need to prove anything. You just kept moving. Steady, unbothered, consistent. Every win, every calm reaction, every time you refused to collapse, it burned. They wanted chaos, but you gave them composure. They wanted a reaction, but you gave them result. And results are the loudest revenge in the world. See, the game flips the moment you stop defending yourself and start building. They built their group chat. You built your legacy. They plotted your downfall. You planned your next move. And now, they can't touch you because you've evolved beyond their reach. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you became the version of yourself that their imagination can't handle. And the craziest part, you did it without ever mentioning their name. At some point you stop being in their story and they start becoming a side note in yours. That's what ascension feels like. It's not a flashy rise, not an overnight transformation. It's slow, quiet, ruthless. You wake up one morning and realize the noise that once consumed you no longer even reaches your frequency. You're not running from their judgment anymore. You've simply outgrown the room they built to contain you. They'll call it arrogance, but it's not. It's awareness. You finally understand what energy deserves to stay and what has to dissolve. The higher you climb, the thinner the air gets. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Because peace doesn't live where everyone can breathe. It lives where few can survive. Ascension is brutal like that. It costs you comfort. It costs you company. But it gives you power. Quiet, relentless power. You no longer crave validation. You crave alignment. You no longer need applause. You need purpose. And as you keep walking through the fire without flinching, people start realizing, maybe you were never the villain. Maybe you were just someone who refused to stay small. That's when they stop gossiping and start studying. Because you've become the blueprint, the lesson, the proof that surviving the plot against you wasn't luck. It was destiny rewritten by your own hand.